Welcome to my channel, and today I want to share a story that shows the power of love, patience, and family bonds. It's about a young woman who, through kindness and dedication, transforms her home and the hearts of everyone around her. This story teaches us how respect, understanding, and care can create happiness and harmony in family life. So, let's start. Sometimes fate brings people together under one roof to test their patience, strength, and capacity for love. This was the case with a woman named Amara, who lived with her son Kofi, her daughter-in-law Zuri, and her elderly mother-in-law Mama Naya. Their home stood in a quiet neighborhood, modest but filled with years of memories, traditions, and unspoken expectations. Kofi and Zuri had married for love, choosing each other despite differences in upbringing and outlook. Both worked at a reputable information technology company in the city, balancing demanding careers with family responsibilities. Zuri was highly educated, confident, and capable, yet deeply respectful of African traditions that valued elders, family unity, and sacrifice. Every morning before sunrise, Zuri would rise quietly from her bed, careful not to disturb anyone. She would tie her headscarf, step into the kitchen, and begin her day. Breakfast and lunch were prepared with care, ensuring that Amara and Mama Nia were well served. After cooking, Zuri cleaned the house, washed clothes, organized supplies, and only then prepared herself for work. No matter how tired she felt, she never complained. Yet, despite all her effort, Amara always seemed to find faults in her work. A dish was too salty, the floor not clean enough, or the timing slightly off. Zuri accepted these comments silently, believing that her mother-in-law did not intend harm, only spoke from habit and authority. One morning, as Zuri and Kofi were about to leave for the office, Zuri gently said, "Mother, I prepared your favorite vegetable stew today. Please enjoy it with grandmother for lunch." Amara replied sharply, "So what if that is the only vegetable in the house? That is what should be cooked." Zuri smiled politely, bowed her head slightly in respect, and left with her husband. She understood that Amara's words were often harsh, but her heart was not cruel. Days passed in the same routine, quiet endurance wrapped in responsibility. Soon, Kofi's birthday approached. Amara invited close relatives, neighbors, and family friends to celebrate. She also arranged a special prayer ceremony for her son's well-being and future success. Hearing the plans, Zuri gently suggested, "Mother, should we order food from outside for the guests?" Amara frowned and replied, "Both of you are free from work tomorrow. You can wake up late and enjoy the celebration. There is no need for outside food. I have done this since Kofi was born. Food has always been prepared at home, and it will remain that way." After Zuri left the room, Amara muttered to herself that young women these days did not understand the value of money and preferred convenience over effort. Zuri heard the words but chose silence. The next morning she woke up at exactly 4 o'clock. The house was still dark as she began preparing tea and food. From the bedroom, Amara's voice echoed, questioning whether tea would be served at all. Zuri replied calmly from the kitchen that it was coming. She served tea to Amara first, then to Kofi, and returned immediately to cooking. By late morning, all dishes were ready. The prayer leader arrived, and Zuri welcomed him respectfully and called Kofi and Amara to join. After the prayers, guests began arriving one after another. Zuri moved constantly, serving food, refilling plates, and responding to requests. With only 2 helpers, the workload was overwhelming. In the rush, she unintentionally missed serving a neighbor who later complained to Amara, comparing Zuri unfavorably to other daughters-in-law. Amara felt irritated and was about to scold Zuri when Mama Nia intervened calmly, silencing the complaint with wisdom. As evening fell, guests slowly departed, and Kofi's friends arrived for a smaller gathering. Zuri, exhausted and hungry after a full day of work, continued serving without pause. When she accidentally dropped a tray due to fatigue, harsh words followed. Hurt deeply, Zuri quietly left the room in tears and locked herself in her bedroom. At that moment, Mama Nia's voice thundered through the house, defending Zuri and revealing the truth of her sacrifice. Her words awakened guilt and realization in both Amara and Kofi. Shame replaced pride, and understanding replaced criticism. The morning after Kofi's birthday, the household was unusually quiet. Zuri, still weary from the previous day, moved slowly through the kitchen. The aroma of freshly ground spices, roasted yams, and simmering vegetables filled the air, but she barely noticed. Mama Nia, sitting on the veranda with a cup of tea, observed her granddaughter-in-law silently, seeing the exhaustion etched on Zuri's face. There was a moment of stillness, a pause in the usual flow of critiques and demands. Kofi entered the kitchen, rubbing his eyes, and noticed Zuri's fatigue. "Zuri, why don't you sit down and rest?" he asked gently, setting down his briefcase. Zuri forced a smile, shaking her head. "I am fine. I will just finish preparing breakfast for everyone," she replied softly. Kofi's heart ached at her dedication. He had never seen anyone so tirelessly committed to family and duty. He realized how often he had taken her efforts for granted. Amara entered next, her usual brisk steps softened by a rare moment of reflection. She looked at Zuri and said, almost reluctantly, "You worked hard yesterday. Perhaps I was too quick to judge." Zuri nodded politely, grateful but cautious. She knew praise from Amara was rare, and she did not want to misread it. Mama Nia sipped her tea and gave a knowing smile, understanding that small acknowledgements were often the first step toward harmony in the household. Days rolled on, each one blending work, household duties, and family obligations. Zuri continued to rise early, cook, clean, and manage the household, while balancing her responsibilities at the IT company. Kofi noticed her growing weariness and began to help more actively. He prepared simple meals for her when he returned from work and offered to handle some errands. Slowly, the couple learned to communicate their needs without conflict. And Mama Nia observed, pleased, the gradual improvement in household harmony. One afternoon, Zuri decided to involve Kofi more directly in planning their family meals. She explained the traditional dishes, the timing for each course, and the cultural significance behind every recipe. Kofi listened intently, realizing that family life was a delicate balance of love, respect, and shared responsibility. Mama Nia watched from her chair, proud of the young couple's initiative. She remembered her own struggles raising children and guiding daughters-in-law, and she felt hopeful that this family could navigate the challenges with empathy. As weeks passed, the household grew more harmonious. Zuri and Kofi began hosting small family gatherings, each one meticulously planned, yet warm and joyful. Guests were treated with care, and Zuri's efforts were recognized openly. Amara, once critical, now observed quietly, occasionally offering suggestions but allowing Zuri space to manage. Mama Nia acted as a guiding presence, teaching lessons through stories of patience, respect, and understanding. One evening, after a long day at work, Zuri returned home to find Kofi preparing dinner. She smiled, exhausted but happy. "You are learning well," she said, appreciating his efforts. Kofi looked up and grinned. "I have a great teacher," he replied. Their laughter echoed through the home, blending with the sounds of children playing outside and neighbors exchanging evening greetings. The house had transformed. Where there was once tension and miscommunication, now there was understanding and mutual respect. Zuri still rose before dawn, cooked meals, and cared for the household. But her efforts were no longer met with criticism alone. They were appreciated, shared, and celebrated. The bond between Zuri and Mama Nia had strengthened, creating a supportive environment that uplifted everyone in the home. Through small gestures, shared responsibilities, and patient communication, the family discovered that love and respect could overcome frustration and misunderstandings. Zuri's perseverance, Kofi's growing awareness, Amara's tempered guidance, and Mama Nia's wisdom created a household filled with laughter, warmth, and mutual care. Even neighbors noticed the difference, often complimenting Zuri for her grace and diligence. The following weeks brought new challenges and lessons for the household. Zuri, despite her tireless dedication, began to feel the weight of expectation pressing on her shoulders. Every morning, she rose before the sun, her mind already planning meals, chores, and the day's work schedule. Yet instead of fatigue, she now carried a quiet sense of purpose. She knew that her efforts were shaping the atmosphere of the house, influencing how her husband, his mother, and even her neighbors experienced family life. Kofi noticed this change clearly. He had grown more considerate, understanding that the love Zuri poured into their home extended beyond cooking and cleaning. It was a symbol of her commitment to family unity. He made an effort to assist her whenever possible, taking over small tasks without being asked and surprising her with thoughtful gestures. One morning, he prepared a simple breakfast of boiled eggs and fresh fruit, setting it on the table with a note that read, "For the strongest woman I know." Zuri's eyes filled with tears, both from appreciation and relief as she realized her husband truly valued her efforts. Mama Nia, who had always been a pillar of wisdom and guidance, noticed the subtle transformations in the family. She called Zuri aside one afternoon, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Zuri, you are doing more than just cooking or cleaning," she said. "You are creating harmony, teaching patience, and setting an example of respect and love. That is far more important than any dish or chore. Never doubt the impact you have here." Zuri bowed respectfully, feeling an inner peace that had long eluded her amidst the criticism and stress of earlier days. Amara, too, began to soften her approach. She still had her moments of strictness, but they were now tempered with observation and occasional encouragement. She watched Zuri handle challenges with grace, learning to appreciate her resilience and dedication. When a dish did not turn out perfectly, or a task was delayed due to circumstances beyond Zuri's control, Amara no longer responded with sharp remarks. Instead, she offered quiet guidance or chose to let matters resolve naturally. One afternoon, the family decided to host a small gathering for friends and neighbors to celebrate the end of the harvest season. Zuri took the lead in planning the menu, ensuring that traditional African dishes were complemented with modern twists to appeal to all generations. She coordinated with Kofi, who handled logistics and beverage arrangements, while Mama Nia oversaw rituals and blessings. The day was filled with laughter, music, and the aroma of spices from the outdoor kitchen. Zuri moved gracefully between tasks, serving food, attending to guests, and ensuring everyone felt welcome. Despite her exhaustion, she found joy in the act of giving. The smile on a guest's face, the gratitude in Kofi's eyes, and the approving nods from Mama Nia reminded her that her hard work was meaningful. Even Amara quietly praised her behind her back, telling friends that Zuri had brought a new sense of warmth and organization to their home. For Zuri, this was validation enough. Her efforts were now recognized without needing constant acknowledgement. Yet life was not without challenges. Zuri sometimes faced criticism from distant relatives or neighbors who did not understand the depth of her commitment. One evening, after a minor mishap with a dish, Amara's cousin whispered complaints about Zuri's supposed inefficiency. Zuri took a deep breath, recalling Mama Nia's wisdom. She did not respond with anger or defensiveness. Instead, she quietly corrected the mistake and continued her duties, knowing that true respect is earned through consistent action rather than argument. Kofi, observing this, grew even more protective and supportive. He made it a point to publicly acknowledge Zuri's contributions during family gatherings, praising her skill, patience, and devotion. This shift in his behavior influenced Amara and even extended to neighbors and friends. Slowly, the household atmosphere transformed from tension and criticism to one of respect, appreciation, and collaboration. At night, when the household quieted and chores were complete, Zuri and Kofi would sit together on the veranda, sharing stories from their day. They laughed about minor mishaps, reminisced about childhood memories, and discussed plans for the future. These moments of intimacy strengthened their bond, creating a foundation of trust and mutual respect. Mama Nia would often join them, sharing her wisdom through stories of family life, cultural traditions, and moral lessons learned over decades. Through patience, understanding, and consistent effort, Zuri began to see the household not as a place of endless work and criticism, but as a space where love, respect, and tradition coexisted. She realized that the challenges she faced were opportunities for growth, for herself, her husband, and even Amara. The family's collective journey toward harmony was gradual, but steady, guided by the values of patience, empathy, and cultural heritage. As the weeks passed, Zuri's presence in the household became a source of subtle yet profound change. She moved with quiet efficiency, balancing her professional responsibilities with her family duties, all the while maintaining grace and patience. Every morning, the sun's first rays found her in the kitchen, preparing breakfast and organizing the day ahead. Yet, there was a difference now. She no longer felt the sting of constant criticism. Her actions were met with recognition, small gestures of gratitude, and most importantly, the unspoken trust of those around her. Kofi had begun to take a more active role in household management. He started waking early to help with chores, fetching water, checking supplies, and even learning a few traditional recipes under Zuri's guidance. Their teamwork became a quiet rhythm, a dance of cooperation that brought warmth to their home. Zuri's fatigue was still present, but it was softened by Kofi's support and Mama Nia's steady oversight. The once tense atmosphere had transformed into one of harmony, where responsibilities were shared, and each family member contributed in meaningful ways. One morning, Mama Nia called Zuri aside. "Zuri," she said, "you have been here for months now, and I have seen your heart and your efforts. It is time you take care of yourself as much as you care for others. You must rest, eat well, and allow us to help." Zuri looked at her, surprised. She had never imagined being given permission to pause, to allow herself relief without guilt. "I will try, Mama," she said softly, moved by the rare display of understanding. Amara, too, had changed. She had observed Zuri's dedication, her quiet patience, and the love she poured into the family, and slowly, resentment gave way to respect. On several occasions, she complimented Zuri openly, praising her culinary skills, her organizational talents, and her unwavering commitment. Though her words were few, they carried weight, signaling a shift in perspective. Zuri's heart swelled with quiet pride. She had earned recognition not through confrontation, but through consistent action and integrity. The family faced another test when Kofi's younger cousin, a spirited teenager named Ade, visited for the holidays. Ad was accustomed to a more modern, carefree household, where chores were minimal and expectations were lax. At first, he was critical of Zuri's traditional methods, questioning why she prepared certain dishes or organized tasks in specific ways. He complained about the early mornings and the structured routine, believing it to be unnecessarily strict. Zuri, however, met his complaints with calm patience. She explained the significance of each tradition, the reasons behind every dish, and the lessons embedded in household routines. "These practices are not meant to burden anyone," she said gently. "They are a way of honoring our culture, our elders, and the bonds that hold our family together. It is love expressed through care, not obligation." Kofi supported her, adding, "Ade, Zuri's ways may seem strict, but they teach responsibility, respect, and unity. You may not understand it fully now, but one day you will see the wisdom in what she does." Ade, though initially skeptical, began to observe quietly. Over time, he noticed the harmony that Zuri fostered, the satisfaction of guests, the smooth functioning of daily life, and the genuine happiness that radiated from Kofi and Mama Nia. Slowly, admiration replaced his criticism, and he began assisting Zuri voluntarily, learning that tradition and modern life could coexist beautifully. That season, the family hosted a harvest feast, inviting friends, neighbors, and extended relatives. Zuri orchestrated the preparations with her usual diligence, ensuring that every dish reflected both heritage and creativity. Kofi coordinated logistics, and Mama Nia provided blessings and guidance. The day was a resounding success. Guests admired the seamless organization, the richness of flavors, and the warmth of hospitality. Even Ade, who had once been skeptical, expressed heartfelt appreciation for Zuri's efforts. By the end of the feast, Amara approached Zuri quietly. "You have changed this household," she admitted softly. "I see now how much love and dedication you put into everything. I am grateful for your presence." Zuri smiled, feeling a profound sense of fulfillment. For the first time, she felt entirely accepted. Not only as Kofi's wife, but as a valued member of the family, a daughter-in-law who had bridged the gap between tradition and modernity with love and patience. Life continued with its daily routines, yet the household vibrated with a newfound energy. Kofi and Zuri's partnership deepened, rooted in mutual respect and shared responsibilities. Mama Nia remained a guiding presence, offering wisdom and teaching lessons through stories of past generations. Even Amara's criticisms had become rare, replaced by occasional guidance or gentle reminders. The family had transformed into a unit where love, respect, and understanding were the foundation of every interaction. Zuri's journey was a testament to perseverance, patience, and empathy. She had faced criticism, fatigue, and misunderstanding, but had responded with grace and unwavering dedication. In doing so, she not only earned the respect of her elders and neighbors, but also strengthened the bonds of her marriage and family life. The household, once fraught with tension and miscommunication, had become a haven of warmth, laughter, and shared responsibility. The following months were marked by steady growth and deepening bonds within the family. Zuri's dedication, once a source of silent endurance, now became a celebrated force in the household. Each morning, as the sun rose over their modest home, the kitchen came alive with the aroma of traditional African spices, fresh fruits, and grains. Zuri moved with a quiet rhythm, preparing meals with care, yet no longer alone. Kofi had embraced his role as both husband and partner, assisting her whenever he could, and even taking on small surprises to lighten her burden. Mama Nia watched this transformation with a mixture of pride and relief. She had witnessed generations of families struggle with misunderstandings and resentment, but Zuri's grace and patience had changed the course of this home. "You see, Kofi," she said one morning, "a family grows not only through love, but through understanding and mutual respect. Zuri teaches all of us the importance of these values. Never take her for granted." Kofi nodded, humbled, realizing that the woman beside him had taught him more about patience, empathy, and responsibility than any experience he had had before. One afternoon, while preparing for a small neighborhood celebration of harvest and community, Zuri faced an unexpected challenge. A sudden shortage of key ingredients threatened to delay the meal, and several guests had already arrived. In the past, such a situation might have caused chaos, criticism, and tension. But Zuri remained composed. She quickly improvised, substituting ingredients with care, and delegated smaller tasks to Kofi, Ade, and a few trusted neighbors who were willing to help. Her ability to adapt and problem-solve under pressure impressed everyone, turning what could have been a stressful day into one filled with laughter, cooperation, and admiration. Even Amara could not help but observe Zuri's competence. She approached her quietly during the gathering. "Zuri, I must admit, your skills and patience are remarkable. You handle every challenge gracefully. I was wrong to judge so harshly before." Zuri, ever humble, smiled gently. "Thank you, Mother. Your guidance helped me understand the family better. We all learned together." Amara nodded, realizing that the household had shifted from a place of tension to a place of harmony, largely due to Zuri's perseverance and kindness. That evening, after the guests had departed, Zuri and Kofi sat with Mama Nia on the veranda, watching the sun dip below the horizon. The air was filled with the scent of evening fires and distant music from neighboring homes celebrating the harvest season. "Zuri," Kofi said softly, taking her hand, "I now truly understand all that you do for this family. You have changed our home in ways I never imagined. I am grateful for your patience, love, and guidance." Zuri's heart swelled. After so many days of silent labor and unseen effort, she felt recognized not just for the work she did, but for the love she had poured into it. Mama Nia joined their hands, her eyes sparkling with warmth. "Remember this day, both of you," she said. "It is not the grand celebrations or lavish meals that make a home. It is respect, understanding, and love. Zuri, your devotion has shown all of us the power of kindness. Kofi, your willingness to learn and support shows that love is a partnership." Zuri leaned on Kofi's shoulder, feeling the exhaustion of months melt into a quiet contentment. The household continued to thrive. Zuri and Kofi's relationship deepened, built on a foundation of trust, communication, and mutual support. Even Amara's interactions became warmer, her advice tempered with patience and care rather than criticism. Mama Nia's wisdom remained the guiding force, offering lessons and moral stories that reinforced the values of compassion, perseverance, and family unity. Zuri's journey was far from easy. She had faced fatigue, criticism, and skepticism from others. But through patience, resilience, and consistent kindness, she transformed not only her own experience but also the lives of those around her. The home, once a place of silent tension and unspoken grievances, had become a sanctuary of love, laughter, and understanding. Neighbors and friends often commented on the warmth of the household, and even Aid, once skeptical and critical, had learned to appreciate the harmony that Zuri fostered. The family had discovered that true happiness and stability were not merely achieved through wealth, convenience, or compliance. They were built on empathy, mutual respect, and the willingness to care for one another. Zuri, through her example, had shown that love expressed through patience and service could create a life of joy and fulfillment for everyone involved. Life in the household had settled into a rhythm of warmth, understanding, and joy. Zuri's tireless efforts and unwavering patience had transformed not only the dynamics of the family, but the very atmosphere of their home. The once tense mornings and long, exhausting days were now met with cooperation, mutual respect, and small gestures of love that brightened every corner of the house. Kofi had matured into a thoughtful and caring husband, taking active responsibility for chores, meals, and family decisions, while Mama Nia continued to provide guidance and wisdom that strengthened the family's foundation. One morning, as the first light of dawn streamed through the windows, Zuri rose and prepared breakfast. But this time, she did not feel the usual weight of obligation. Instead, she moved with a sense of peace, knowing her efforts were valued. Kofi came into the kitchen, carrying a basket of fresh fruit he had picked himself. "I thought you might enjoy this," he said softly, placing it beside the steaming pots of traditional porridge and spiced vegetables. Zuri's eyes glistened. The gesture, simple yet meaningful, reflected the growth and partnership they had cultivated together. Amara entered next, her usual brisk pace replaced with quiet appreciation. "Zuri," she said gently, "you have shown all of us the true meaning of family. I see now how much love and care you put into everything. We are all grateful." Zuri bowed respectfully, feeling a deep sense of belonging she had longed for since the first day she stepped into this household. For the first time, she felt entirely accepted, not only as Kofi's wife, but as a daughter, a sister, and a bridge between generations. Mama Nia joined them, her eyes twinkling with warmth. "This is what life should be," she said. "Respect, patience, and understanding. Zuri, you have taught us all a lesson in kindness and perseverance. Kofi, you have learned that love is an action, not just words. And Amara, your support now completes the circle of care that every family needs." The household felt whole, a harmonious blend of tradition and modernity, love and responsibility. The family soon hosted another community gathering, this time to celebrate Zuri's leadership in organizing local harvest projects and neighborhood events. Friends, neighbors, and extended family came together, sharing meals, laughter, and stories. Zuri, though still busy, felt no anxiety. She moved gracefully among the guests, coordinating tasks, serving food, and attending to the needs of others, yet always supported by Kofi and Mama Nia. Even Amara joined in fully, offering guidance and encouragement instead of critique. During a quiet moment, Kofi pulled Zuri aside. "Do you see what you have done?" he whispered. "You have not only transformed our household, but inspired the community. Your patience, love, and wisdom touch everyone around you." Zuri smiled, overwhelmed with gratitude, realizing that the hardships she had endured were steps toward a greater purpose. Every early morning, every long hour of work, and every moment of silent endurance had led to this harmony and respect. As the sun set over the neighborhood, the family gathered on the veranda. Children played in the distance, neighbors waved from their homes, and the sounds of music and celebration filled the air. Zuri, Kofi, Amara, and Mama Nia sat together, hands intertwined, hearts full of gratitude. The household that had once been tense and divided now radiated love, warmth, and unity. They had discovered that true happiness was not about perfection or convenience. It was about empathy, respect, patience, and the consistent care for one another. From that day forward, mornings were filled with laughter, meals were shared with joy, and the household thrived as a model of family unity. Zuri's journey had taught everyone that daughters-in-law, when treated with love and respect as daughters, could create harmony, happiness, and a strong bond that uplifted the entire household. Kofi learned the depth of partnership. Amara embraced understanding and patience, and Mama Nia's wisdom ensured that these lessons were carried forward into future generations. Through patience, resilience, and love, the family had found not only balance, but fulfillment. Their home became a sanctuary of respect, laughter, and warmth, a testament to the power of understanding, the strength of family ties, and the lasting impact of kindness. Zuri, once silent and exhausted, now flourished as a beloved daughter-in-law, wife, and pillar of her family. And so, life continued, filled with harmony, joy, and the quiet but profound beauty of a family that had learned to truly care for one another. Thank you for reading this story with me. I hope it reminded you of the importance of love, patience, and understanding in our families. Remember, small acts of kindness and respect can make a big difference in the lives of those around us. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more heartwarming and inspiring stories. And always remember, love and care make every home a happier place. If you like this story, make sure you subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and share with your friends and family so you don't miss the next powerful story coming your way. Drop a heart in comment, like and subscribe my channel, and visit my channel for more interesting story videos.